Hey guys, welcome back to The Crafty Couple. Today we've got these beautiful farmhouse DIYs. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments which one's your favorite.
For the first project, we're going to make this faux wooden arch. So we're going to measure out the middle of our foam board, which is 10 inches, and measure that all the way down. The easiest way for me was to grab some tape and put that directly in the middle, so that would be our middle seam. And then for all the edges on the outside, I put 2 pieces of tape because that's how thick I wanted it. I measured it out, and 2 pieces of tape is about 2 inches, and 1, of course, is 1 inch. So put the tape all the way around except for the top. For the top, I'm measuring out where I wanted it to curve. So I wanted it to curve about 8 inches down from the center. And the tape that you see at the top is just the middle line. If you have any wire or anything that curves, it helps kind of drawing the line or getting just a rough sketch. And then you'll measure about 2 inches above that and do the same curve. And then we're adding 2 more curves to the inside, which should only be about 1 inch thick. A lot of this was kind of just a guesstimate and a sketch out. As long as everything's pretty even and the insides are 1 inch and the outsides are 2 inches, it should look fine. Right here, I'm just measuring about 1 inch all the way down just to give it a little bit better structure. And then just trace around all the tape. Then go ahead and take all of the tape off. To get a straight line when cutting, I am using a metal ruler that I got from Dollar Tree, and go ahead and just trace out everything that we did before and cut out all the middle pieces. Now it's time to paint the whole thing using the Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Mineral. Then, to make it a little bit distressed, I'm using the Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Hazelnut. For the metal pieces on the inside, you'll need 3 trellises from Dollar Tree. For the top, I cut off both of these end pieces. And then I just lined it up where I wanted it, and I made marks just where I should cut it. After cutting it, you just need to hot glue it on the back. And then for the last 2 parts, just make marks where you see I'm marking them, and then we're going to hot glue that on the back as well. For the wreath on the front, I'm using one of these wreath frames from Dollar Tree. And then the greenery that I have here is just a garland from one of my local craft stores. This is probably one of my favorite ways to make wreaths, is just grabbing a wreath form and then putting the garland on it and zip tying it. After zip tying the whole thing, just cut off the excess. And then to attach it, I'm grabbing 2 zip ties and just zip tying onto the 2 parts that meet in the middle.
For this project, we're going to use this shower caddy from Dollar Tree and these 5-gallon stir sticks from Walmart. What I'm doing is just measuring it the entire width of the shower caddy, and we're going to mark it there and cut it so that we can make some wood shelves. There'll be 2 pieces of wood that we'll lay on the shelf like this. And then what we're going to do with the white shower caddy is go ahead and spray it this antique pewter from Rust-Oleum. We'll have the link for that in the description below. To cut it, we used to use these little hand saws that you get from the Dollar Tree. However, it takes a lot longer, and we found that it just doesn't make an even cut. It ends up cutting sideways. So we ended up getting this jigsaw, and it's very inexpensive. We'll have a link for it in the description below, but I would highly suggest getting one of these. It'll make your life a lot easier. While we're waiting for the paint to dry on the shower caddy, we can go ahead and start painting these bottles. And these are just little milk bottles that we got from Dollar Tree. We're using chalk paint. This is from Waverley in the color white. Next, we can move on to staining the wood. We use this dark walnut from Minwax and put a nice coat of stain on all of these pieces. That way they're gonna look a little bit more rustic and farmhouse once we put them on the shower caddy. For the distressing, we're gonna use this green scrub pad from Dollar Tree and get it wet. That way we can use some of this wet distressing method. As you can see, that's coming off very nicely. And I feel like the scrub pad gives a little bit more control and easier to distress rather than using just a wet rag. Once the paint has dried on the shower caddy, we can go ahead and put our wood on for the shelves. And all we used is some hot glue to glue these on. I found it easiest to just glue it from the back here. Put a few dabs of glue on the ends and then in the middle, and then just hold the wood down. You'll notice that one of these sticks has a little bit of a curve on the end of it from when we cut it. So what I did is I placed that one on the back on each shelf. That way it was a little bit less noticeable. The last part of this project is to fill the milk bottles with greenery or flowers. This is some lavender from Dollar Tree. It's pretty nice, but we prefer this from Walmart. As you can see, this big bundle was only $3 from Walmart. I think it looks a lot better than a Dollar Tree one, but you can use whichever one you prefer. We ended up using 3 of the lavender pieces and then a little bit of the greenery to fill it up. And you'll want to just make sure to cut it to size so it's not sticking out so much. Once you've filled the milk bottles with the lavender, the last part is to place them in the shower caddy.
And then for this last project, we're going to grab one of these wreath forms. So to make each panel of the windmill, I'm measuring every 4.5 inches on the top of this foam board, and that's how long the top will be. And then the actual length of all of them is 10 inches. And in the end, we'll want 8 panels total. Now just connect your line at 4.5 inches down to your line at 3.5 inches on all of them. After I did all this, I realized it would have been a lot easier just to make one template and then trace it and make 8. If you were to make this, I would definitely make one however big you wanted it and then just trace that. And then for the center, just trace anything that is circular. And now it's time to cut all your pieces out. After all of the panels are cut, we're going to be using truffle, hazelnut, mineral, all from Waverly Chalk Paint. And right here, I'm just starting out with mineral and painting all of them. Then I'm going in with hazelnut with a sponge just to make it a little bit more distressed. And then finally some truffle just on the very edges. And then that piece that we had that came with the wreath form, that is going to go in the middle. So go ahead and distress that as well. And then glue that metal piece right onto the circle. To connect everything together, I'm using these extra long skewers that I got from Dollar Tree. You can see before that I did mess up and use smaller skewers. I didn't like how it turned out, so I would definitely recommend using these longer ones. Right here, I'm just measuring how long they are. They're 36 inches long, so just cut those in half. And then I'm just going in with watered down truffle paint to give it more of a stained look. So you can see here where I used the smaller skewer, which I definitely would not recommend. So I'm going to hot glue this other skewer, try to get it into the middle as much as possible. And you're going to line up the very end of the skewer to the top. Right here, I'm just measuring out the middle of the circle so that we can draw 4 lines so we have a template so that we know where to put the skewers. Now put hot glue on all of those lines and hot glue the skewers onto the circle. Once that is done, it's time to add the circle wreath form that we had at the very beginning and add that to the back. Try and get it as center as possible. I measured it out, it's 14 inches, so make sure that 7 inches is in the middle. And then once that is centered, just go ahead and hot glue onto all the skewers. When I flipped it over, it was looking a little bit too plain for me, so I added a little bit more distressing with white chalk paint. Next, we're moving on to these push pins. You'll need 16 of them, and I'm going to distress them using black paint, some of the Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Truffle, and then also the Waverly Chalk Paint in Hazelnut. And then just add 2 to each panel right where the circle is.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time we upload a new video.